Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. As he mentioned, my name's Harvey Silverman. I'm a journalist and host with the National Golf Course Owners Association, and this is Golf Business Live. This is actually the third one I've done, and they still haven't got me a band, and Guillermo couldn't make it again this year. So it's just me, and they told me we don't have enough time for any stand-up, so we're going to get right into the subject of team building. So what I have with me are three very accomplished golf course operators that operate facilities at different levels, given the amenities and the type of operation that they run. My immediate right is Matt Bryant, PGA GM, General Manager at Green Valley Ranch Golf Club in Denver, Colorado, has an 18-hole championship course, beautiful little 9-hole par 3, a 25-station TrackMan range, a sizable membership, and most challenging, his course hosts the 3 professional Inspirado, Colorado Opens every year, men's, women's, and seniors. To his right is Mike Woods, old friend of mine, PGA Director of Golf at Haggin Oaks Golf Complex, part of Morton Golf, one of the more esteemed multi-course operators that the PGA has seen over the decades. But he manages a facility that has 2 18-hole championship courses, an enormous, now get this, an enormous 98-station top tracer range, 98-station two-sided top tracer range, a large bar and restaurant. They host events, weddings, and concerts. And on top of that, they have a 20,000 square foot golf superstore that actually puts the PGA Superstore to shame. That is what I call a golf factory. And to Mike's right is Tom Bugbee, Chief Operating Officer of CourseCo, which now has grown to 45 locations, 45 venues over how many states, Tom? Over 8 states. So he's I'd call him a mid-size management company, both in leasing and management, but 45 over 8 states requires an incredible skill in building teams across all of those venues. So we're going to get into a little bit about team building and hear from these gentlemen about the challenges they've had and some tips on how they've developed and built and retained teams to run their rather complex operations. Do you have strategies and techniques that you use to ensure that team members understand their roles and how they contribute to overall goals?
Thanks, Harvey. Yeah, we've developed a lot of things over the years. I've been at Green Valley Ranch for 19 years as the director of golf and general manager. And just as far as like stand-up type documents where our head professional, our golf professional staff gets that information out to all the different departments the night before, like the next day if we have a tournament or we have just a daily play with public golf, whatever it is. But anytime, and one of our core values is over-communication. We really, really believe in over-communicating, whether it's face-to-face, which is obviously the most, I think impactful for everyone. But as far as emails, text messages, we've got like a group me type thread. It's an app, but all of our staff is on that, and it's very easy to get that information out to everyone to really keep them in the loop and to let them know what their role is, whether it's a daily play day and they're just picking range balls and doing things with golf carts and checking in golfers like normal, or if it happens to be with tournaments. So that's one of our most important documents, is that stand-up document that we get out every evening.
Mike?
Yeah, thank you, Harvey. So a little different spin on this question, but one of the things that we think is just paramount at a golf facility is that we all make mistakes. We blow it. The customer knows that happens in a business environment where something goes wrong, right? The cart dies in the middle of the round, the new driver they bought broke, their food's not prepared correctly. So what's really important in our environment is that our frontline team has full authority to take care of it. And we do quite a bit of training on that, where our frontline team recognizes what's happening when something goes wrong, owns it, apologizes, and then takes care of it, makes it right. And we put a lot of energy into that so that the guest doesn't have to wait for a manager or wait for someone with authority. Nothing drives you more mad than that as a consumer. And we find that that really shows our staff how important they are and what their role is in the company is to really own that guest experience.
Thanks, Mike. Tom, I'll add one other element to the question, asking you how you maintain consistency in your team building and teamwork across 45 properties.
Yeah, thanks, Harvey. So that's the biggest challenge, right? If we often say if Michael Sharp, our CEO, was able to onboard every employee, then it'd be kind of easy. There's no one better to do it. And you could apply that across our executive team. But the hard part is 2,500 employees spread out over 8 states. That's just not the reality. So we've put a lot of time and effort into both training our on-site managers on how to onboard, but also an onboarding packet, right, that welcomes them. There is a letter from our CEO to every single employee. There is a history of their specific golf course in that, because even though we're one company and we want them to know our core values, how we approach customer service, we also want them to know the specifics to the golf course that they're working at. A lot of our golf courses are 100 plus years old. We want them to know that history. And so really that employee journey starts that first day. And so that's where a lot of our training of our managers, and then you get the trickle down effect to the individual employees.
Tom, thank you. Are any of you using any resources or particularly technology tools to help you manage your teams, help you communicate, as Matt was saying, with your teams, helping you maintain that same level of teamwork across on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I'll jump in. We've invested some. A lot of it is just real basic videos. As simple as it sounds, again, when you're trying to get to all the employees, and I'll even use safety, right? That is such an important piece of what we do, and it's important. One, it's the right thing for the business, but two, the employees want to feel that safety is important, that you're putting their well-being ahead on many factors. And so online safety videos is one example of something that we've been able to roll out, makes our managers' lives easier, but also makes it for a more engaged employee.
Yeah, for us, simple, a tool we use called our 1-Minute Manager tool. And this is just an Excel document that gets populated each week and goes to all departments. So our staff really knows what's going on. They know what's happening that week. They know what the other departments are focused on. Takes a little energy to do it, but what you find is we're so much more cohesive when we have that.
Tom, let me ask real quick, how many total employees does CourseCo have now?
In peak season, we'll get close to 2,500.
And Mike?
Yeah, our 4 courses, we're about 400.
Okay, and Matt?
We're about 75.
Okay, so what you're seeing again is kind of small, medium, large in terms of numbers of employees and the challenges they have in creating that teamwork ethic that I think every golf course operator is looking to do. Do you have a comment, Matt, on the last question?
Yeah, I do. One of the things we instituted here back in 2021 was something called EOS. It's like the entrepreneur's operating system, and basically it's where you're putting all of your information into one software, which is called Bloom Growth. There's other versions out there as well. But EOS has been just a game-breaking, technology for us, for our staff to be able to put things in one place. We have a scorecard, we have a list of to-dos, we have different departments that have their own what's called an L10 meeting once a week for an hour and a half, and it really helps streamline the processes because we all have sticky notes and to-do lists and all these different things, but it's something that all the employees can put their information into or give it to their department heads, and that's how we've kind of embraced that technology.
Most golf courses have employees ranging from different generations. You're hiring young people off at 20, 21. You've got some older guys running the golf shop, who are in their 60s or 70s. So how do you encourage the sharing of knowledge across the various generations that helps increase the team effort and the feeling of being on that team?
Yeah, I'll jump in. So our core purpose of enriching lives one guest at a time, we really find that crosses over generations. Now, how we deliver that or coach our team to do it, we have to do it in their style, for sure. And how they deliver it might have a lot to do with their generation as well. And so ultimately, we find that the one-on-one with our team to explain to them our style of our purpose and our values, and then to give them the flexibility to deliver it in the way that they think will fit for them and is the most natural for them, that's been a successful thing for us.
Tom, with 45 facilities, I'm sure you're multi-generational, whether it's at one or at all 45.
Yeah, so we're lucky, right, because of our size. We're able to do a few things. So twice a year, we hold manager meetings where we bring in all our managers, our general managers, our superintendents to 3-day training and education seminars. And one of the topics, virtually every single one of those sessions, is what the different generations are and what's important to them. One of the biggest things is the managers have to be aware of the different personalities, the different thoughts, the different approach, what's important, what's not important. And so by putting the managers through that training and just making them aware, it's amazing how that'll translate to more engaged employees, because you just can't treat the 60-year-old retiree that's, this is a part-time job for them, the same as someone who's very career-oriented, or the 16-year-old that's just there to park golf carts because their parents told them they had to have a job.
Yeah, one of the things that we do, which has been very, very successful, is just that face-to-face communication with whoever it is, and knowing whether it's an older person or a younger person and what their communication style is so critical to know how they're going to basically absorb that information. But we also do a lot of team events, usually once a month, where we might do a walking taco type lunch or an ice cream social and things like that. And we get really good participation, even if someone's not working that day. We get the entire staff to kind of hang out together and maybe putt, set up a putting course or something like that. But that kind of brings the different generations together, because we all love golf, and that's why we got into the game. So that's been very successful for us.
All right, so that's leading right into my next question. What techniques or tools are you using to boost or increase employee morale and engagement with their team and others in the facility? Matt just answered that with his monthly events and so on, which is terrific. Mike?
Yeah, we've really found the weekly rhythm of meeting with our team weekly to discuss execution can really make a difference with our team, especially our managers. So our managers set their goals. We have scoreboards for each one that are designed by our managers. But that weekly rhythm of getting together, talking about how they're doing, talking about their challenges, helping them face those challenges, that really moves the needle for us. And it keeps them motivated with their team, keeps them motivated to keep moving forward and improving. Another item that we do is we started many years ago, we created a $5 bill called a goose buck at our operation. And specifically, when we notice we have a staff member that does something exceptional, we go ahead and give them a couple goose bucks. It's an opportunity to praise the staff member, to thank them, to be specific of what a wonderful thing they did. And that $5 goose buck is spendable at our 4 properties on anything they want to spend money on.
Tom, I'm curious, with your 45 properties, do the managers have a lot of discretion on how they encourage and boost employee morale? Or is there kind of a, does CourseCo have, hey, here's how we want you to do it?
Yeah, it's both, right? So one of the things we pride ourselves on is we have 45 different golf courses, and they're 45 different business units. I often, use fast food as the opposite of what we do. Fast food, if it's a McDonald's, they do same menu, same uniforms, same everything. We have 45 golf courses, but no 2 are alike. So we have to allow our managers a certain latitude. in how they engage their teams, how they encourage their teams. At the same time, we want to capitalize on our experience, our resources. So, for instance, we do kickoff meetings every single year at every single property where multiple corporate team members will travel there, and they start off with what's our goals and objectives. And it sounds silly, but we start with, here's how many rounds of golf we want to do this year. And it's crazy, but the employees just knowing that, all of a sudden they start to alter it, and they're like, oh, so rounds of golf is important, right? We'll talk about, let's say we have membership at a particular club. We want to sell this many members, and we want to have this retention rate. And all of a sudden, every single employee starts to think, okay, this is what's important to us. We re-emphasize our core values. We go back through our customer service training, which they've already received at least once, right? But they get to receive it in a refresher course. And engagement goes up, and we can even measure that, and turnover has slowed down since we started to implement that process.
Excellent, thanks. You all have various departments at your facilities. Are you able to adapt, or do you need to adapt your team building techniques across the various components of maintenance, food and beverage, the golf shop, lessons, events, and so on? Or is it pretty much all consistent across those, and you expect everybody to buy into the same techniques and philosophies across the board?
I'll start on this one. We have our separate food and beverage operation, who's a concessionaire, and up until about the last 3 years, it's always been a challenge, trying to get them to play by the same rules and have good operating hours and make sure a bev cart's on the course and all of those type of things that we always struggle with. So one of the things that we do is just all get together for different activities, and it's hard when you're running an operation that opens at 5 in the morning and it might not close until 9 or 10 at night. But we have different activities and different things, as I mentioned, these ice cream socials or par 3, glow ball contests, just anything that brings the staff together and brings the different departments together so they can all interact with each other, because we're all after the same goal. It's not that this is the food and beverage department and what they do doesn't matter, because it absolutely matters. If they have a bad experience there, if they have a great golf experience, well, we really haven't passed the test. So we really just try to make everything open, very synergistic between all different departments. That's very critical.
Mike?
Yeah, maybe I would add, I think it starts at our level of the importance of treating our teams all exactly the same, that everybody is just as important as anyone else in our operation to deliver that experience. And it really comes through if you're authentic and sincere in how you do that. We had a new pro shop manager start at one of our golf courses the other day, and I think it was on day 3, this individual is out on a fairway mower. And boy, is that important. If he wants to understand what it's like to be on the maintenance crew and what happens when he forgets to communicate that we have a shotgun, what pressure it puts on our maintenance team, a great way for him to understand it is spend the day with the superintendent. Do some mowing, watch when they spray, watch the rhythm of what they do, how they show up at 5 a.m. and they have a team meeting and go out on their day. So we really believe in the cross-training. We think that's really, really important. And I'm not sure you can go too far on that, especially when you're in the off-season. I think the more you do that, the more you build common ground between departments. And then when you're in the heat of the battle, they support each other. They want to help each other. They see the bigger purpose at that point.
Yeah, I'll just echo that, right? Making sure the departments work together is so important. I've been doing this over 30 years, and when I started, maintenance hated golf because they ruined their golf course, and golf hated food and beverage because they showed up later and they didn't have to be there early in the morning. We've done a lot to try to break down those barriers, make sure all the departments work together. And one of the things we've found has helped with that is when we have a sales goal, for instance, right? We're selling a card program, and we need to sell 700 of them. The entire team actually receives some sort of bonus on arriving at those sales goals. So the food and beverage, right? I could argue that a bartender could sell more of your pro shop card programs than the pro shop person, because that's after the experience. It's after the person's really enjoyed their experience, and being able to tell them about the card program and how it will get them better access, better rates in the future. And so if they also feel like, yeah, if we sell some more of these, we're going to reach that goal, you really create a team atmosphere.
Boy, I love that. That's fantastic.
Thanks. That is fantastic. And those are the things that I think more and more golf operators need to understand and adapt to their operations. But then how do you Mike, you mentioned the goose bucks that you give for an exceptional performance or something special that they did. But overall, how are you feeling? How are you making your staff feel valued and heard?
Yeah, so, it starts by walking around your facility and specifically looking to catch your team doing things right and making a big deal of that and being sincere and appreciative. And it also involves having an open door policy, really feeling like your organizational chart is flipped on its end, where a person in my position is really there to support the team and help the team hit their goals. And then it goes with, taking the time to look your team in the eye, to give them your full attention, to be totally invested in their progress and their goals and them exceeding their expectations, to spend time with them. I can't emphasize that enough, is that you have to be out in the field and you have to be there to support your team and to help them get to where they want to go. And if you do that and if it's authentic, it's just amazing the results you can do.
Matt, employees valued and heard?
Yeah, we've got a couple of different things that are very, very important with that. As far as when we, set up and we get ready for a tournament or we're getting ready for a day, I think one of the biggest things that we can all do a better job of, three of us up here, I'm sure, and everyone out there, is being a good listener. And being a good listener as far as what they're trying to tell you is going on. The golf picker isn't working right, or the ball machine isn't operating the way that it should, and this is dangerous, and those type of things. So when you have that open dialogue and you're a good listener and you'd rather hear what they have to say than always feel like, okay, well, I'm ready to get what I need to get out, and this is that. When you're a good listener, things go a long ways.
Tom?
Yeah, it's a culture thing more than anything you can do. It's got to start at the top. When you have a large organization and trickle down, we make sure that our regional managers, they have input into what's happening at the corporate level. That trickles down to general managers, giving their input. But maybe most important, and this is something that goes back in the 36-year history of CourseCo, is when we're visiting properties, we spend time with everyone on property. We ask them questions. How's it going? What are they seeing? It never fails. There is, someone who works carts and range will have some of the best input on what can be improved. And just spending 3 or 4 minutes talking to someone, one, we're going to be a better organization, but two, that person is just going to feel part of that team. And all these things that we're talking about is just making them feel they're part of it, and that they're important part of it.
We just have a couple questions left, and then we'll have a little bit of time to take questions from the audience. Tom, I'm going to direct this specifically to you. CourseCo was the golf course manager for a 9-hole community golf course called Altadena Golf Course in Altadena, California, that was burned to the ground during the LA fires just a couple weeks ago. So my question to Tom is, what team preparation were you able to put in place first to prepare them for this, and how is that team being activated now in both response and recovery?
Yeah, so I'll go back to COVID taught us a lot of lessons on you better figure out a way to adjust to what's coming. And during COVID, again, this is the luxury of being a bigger company, is we have resources that we can assemble teams. So through COVID, we assembled our COVID response team. Really, that stayed in place as we faced even some of the rainstorms last year. Some of the have had wildfires more impacted our courses through smoke than actual fire before this. So really, we already had a team in place. So really quickly, we were able to put the first call together when we were just evacuated, before we even knew what had happened out at the golf course. Immediately start schedule our meetings. We have regular calls daily. So we're 2 weeks in, we've done it daily. And also but the biggest thing here is, as big a tragedy as it is to lose a golf course, it's not somebody's home. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of employees that did lose their homes. And now they're also looking at, what about my job? How's that going to work? Now, luxury for us, we have another golf course only about 5 miles away. So we are right now making sure as many of the employees that are interested get moved over there, can start working, can start keeping their hours. But the biggest thing is just having an organization in place already, because no matter how many disasters you face, the next one's a little bit different. And you got to have people that are experienced and dedicated and have the time to come up with the plan and be able to adjust it every day as things change.
Tom, thanks. And that was tragic. It's good to hear that you are finding ways to support those employees, possibly moving them to another facility, and just a huge tragedy and disaster. By the way, and I'll put in my own little plug in the NGCOA Golf Business Journal, which is their new annual magazine. I wrote an article on disaster preparedness. This was done before the fires, but it applies to any natural disaster. I'll ask one last question, and I'm going to read this verbatim because it's a question about AI, so I had AI write the question for me. I like to think I'm a pretty creative person, but I thought, well, let's see what AI can come up for me, and I don't think I could have come up with anything better. So the question is, you can't help but notice the influx of AI and automation throughout the golf industry and at golf operations. Although these often create efficiencies, these efficiencies could come at the cost of actual humans doing traditional tasks and disrupting the workforce. So how do you navigate embracing new technology while understanding the need to maintain a human element for morale and customer relations? And I'm really happy AI came up with that, because it's a little more sensitive than I expected it to be. So gentlemen, with AI and new technologies that a lot of them are being sold, hey, these are labor savings, you don't need to have as many people working or answering the phone and so on. How are you navigating all this new technology that's really hitting us pretty hard and pretty quick?
Yeah, I'll jump in. So, we've done some AI mowers. That's been great. It hasn't reduced staff at all. It's allowed us to have our staff do more detail work that's been really well received by the guest. But we found that our biggest impact so far with AI has been in our marketing department. It has allowed our marketing team to produce so much more and to be able to really produce more output. And let me give you an example. We use a program now called HeyGen, and what HeyGen can do is I go over to our marketing department and I just speak to it for about an hour, and then we can script any marketing video we want to do, and HeyGen will just create me doing it. Imagine that. Now, I'm kind of busy. I got a lot going on. We've got 4 golf courses, and life is busy, and a lot of times we want to do something on the marketing side, on the promotion side, and it's hard for me to get time to do that, but the sky's the limit with this. So it just makes us more efficient, more productive is what we found.
I'll add one other element to it. Do you think your employees are you sensing that they have any fear that they might be replaced soon or in the future from AI technology?
Yeah, at this point, I've not picked up on that. There's probably a little bit of it with our maintenance crew, I would think, as we're seeing the AI mowers become more and more mainstream. But other than that, I have not picked up on that yet. I think specifically while golf is so healthy right now and we're all really driving revenues and rounds like we haven't seen before, in our world, it's just about creating a better experience. And if AI can help us with that, then we're in.
Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I would say same thing. We haven't had any pushback or anybody asking weird questions about, what are you guys doing or why would you do that? One of the big things that we're doing at the show is finding out as many things as we can about AI technology, about range picking to mowers, all those type of things. We don't have anything in place currently. but it's right around the corner, and it's right there for all of us to really embrace. Just like with any change, whether it's things during COVID, things we had to adjust, it's very, very important to just really recognize that and know that just as we just try to get more detailed work done and give the customer a better experience, whether they're at the counter, they're on the course. You can manage pace of play a little bit better by kind of getting someone to keep an eye on things better. So yeah, we're not looking as kind of a staff replacement mechanism.
Tom?
Yeah, I'll just echo what both of them said. It's the customer interaction. We're in the hospitality business, and I've done this long enough. When I started checking in golfers, it was a paper tee sheet, right? And the electronic point of sale, online tee times. Oh, that was going to change what our employees did. And every piece of technology should do is allow us to spend more time with the customer. And if that's the philosophy and the approach, we're going to be better for it, and our employees should never have any fear. I'll even take it to our accounting department. If we're able to do more automated entries, more actual production of the numbers, then our accounting team has more time to do analysis, to provide trends, to provide recommendations, rather than just data entry. So if anything, it should be making everyone's job a little bit more like they feel like they're contributing. It's not just tasked, but they're actually contributing, which we can tie all the way back to being part of that team. So we look at it as an advantage. We look at it as a better experience for our customers and for our employees.
I'll add on to what Mike said about autonomous mowers. We had a demonstration on Monday, and for those of you who aren't NGCOA members, this is part of what we do, is the education aspect of it. So if you're not a member and you're interested, their booth is right over there. But the plug I'll give is we had a gentleman from the northern part of Maine who's put 25 autonomous mowers from Husqvarna on his course. And when he started doing that and letting people know what he was doing, he had to replace equipment anyway, so he had to make that investment one way or the other, and he went autonomous. But his customers started asking, Randy, you're not going to lay people off, are you? So there's a social aspect to it that you have to be cognizant of if you go that way, because your customers are going to be concerned that you're laying people off in favor of going with robots, and that could have a negative effect on the reputation that you carry in your particular market. So Randy didn't lay anybody off, just like Mike hasn't laid anybody off. They've been reassigned to other tasks that have overall improved the conditions and the service given at his golf course and at Mike's as well. So we'll take any questions. We got a few minutes left. We can take any questions. Anybody here, the question about team building, about these operators, how they're doing, what they're doing? Oh, come on, you all got to be curious. There we go, right here.
Just a general idea of what, Tom, your services would cost. I'm sure it depends on the whole situation, but we're just an 18-hole course in Montana. 35 probably staff in the summer. I can talk to you later, but just for everybody also, just kind of what you do more.
As far as the cost or what the services are, real quick, services are turnkey, right? We run the full operation. Costs, you're right. It's a huge range. We really customize it to what the individual property needs, right? And obviously a seasonal course needs a little bit less than a full time. We have 3 in Montana, so we spend a little bit of time up there. But yeah, happy to talk to you privately.
So the summation of that is, it depends, right? Okay. Anybody else with a question?
Mike, you mentioned you do a 1-minute manager spreadsheet. So is that your department heads that are filling that out and then sending it to you, and then it's shared with everybody? How's that work?
Yeah, so just simple Google Sheets, and then departments will plug in their like key things happening in their department or things you want to know, or it could be the name of the wedding that's going to be at our pavilion that night, or it could be the name of the tournament that's going to be there, or it could be that today in the Superstore is the introduction of the new Titleist driver. It could be a whole host of things. Google Sheets, everybody populates it, then they print it out. And then as our frontline team is coming in to work, this is part of their process. They come in and they see what's going on at their department and around the facility so they can be the expert and they feel confident they can talk about what's going on. And, you know, in our environment, all our environment, we have a lot of part-time frontline people, and they haven't been in the business. Maybe they've had the last 4 days off. So bringing them up to speed quickly really is helpful. Thank you.
One more right here. Two more. Okay, good.
Same question as he had with the Excel sheets, but I thought of another one. Do you guys have any automated check-in booths, or have you guys played with that at all?
We have. We tried it, and then honestly, we went away from it just because it just eliminates that customer interaction. We did it a little bit during COVID when staffing was very difficult, hard to get people. Some people didn't want that direct contact. And then we found the places we had it, they gravitated. We always still had a pro shop person there, and they just gravitated to the pro shop person anyway. So seemingly today, it just doesn't fit what we're doing.
Right here. Do you have
So in terms of goal setting, how much autonomy do you all give the managers, or are you setting goals at the corporate level and then kind of asking the managers to get on board but deliver it as if it's their messaging?
Yeah, I'll answer that. From our perspective, we build the budgets from the ground up, right? So the department heads build it for their general managers, who then submit it to us for review. Obviously, we push back and forth a little bit, but we do it that way. It's a lot more work than if we just plugged in the numbers and sent them out to the properties, but now it's their budget. Yeah, we had our influence. Sure, we maybe pushed them a little bit, but it's still their budget, and so they feel a sense of ownership. And so when you then hold them accountable, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, for us, similar from a budgeting standpoint. As far as goal setting for departments and for managers, we really go through a process every winter, a simple SWOT analysis, and we ask our managers to generate their own goals, what they want to improve on, both personally and professionally. And certainly, you know, the ownership's going to have some influence in that. We want to be on the same page for sure. But I think it's so important that they generate those goals and that they come up with the systems to achieve them. I think one of the things that makes us unique is I think we're really good at executing, and that's where all the work is, and that's the hardest part, right? And so we know if it's generated from the individual, from the manager, and then our role might be to work with them weekly to give them the processes and the systems to get there, then we're going to have our best chance to succeed.
We got time, one last one?
one last one, and then I have one other comment as well.
Yeah, thank you. Brenton Humphreys from Future Golf. It's an open question to all three of you. I'm up the back. What are some of the programs, initiatives, strategies that you're deploying at your properties to attract the new and younger golfer, and not just attract them, but retain them, and obviously bring them on the journey through your golf clubs?
At our facility, we have TrackMan Range, and we're coming up on year 3 with that, and that's been really a game changer for us. You know, Mike's got Top Tracer, and Mike and Harvey and I had a conversation a couple years ago when we talked about Top Tracer, TrackMan, pros and cons. But you know, with TrackMan Range, the younger crowd really loves the games, all the different data that it provides, you know, on your phone or an iPad, in our indoor bays, all those types of things. So it really helps them stay engaged, and we run leagues. We do different contests, like a monthly contest of closest to the pin. You can really keep just that crowd coming back to hit more range balls, generate more revenue, and we've seen those same guys play more golf. So it's been very effective.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll jump in. And yes, technology is very important, right? And we have Top Tracer at a lot of our facilities, a couple more under construction right now. But the other piece to it is training our staff that it's a different world, right? I worked through, as these guys did, right, the Tiger Boom. And I always say we did a great job of telling customers to go away. You know, basically, if you don't fit exactly what a golfer should be, then we don't want you here. And this time through, we're spending a lot of time with our pros, with our managers, with our frontline staff saying it's a different world, right? It doesn't have to be, here's the penalty strokes, right? You have to hit it out of the bunker until you get out of the bunker, right? These are lessons that COVID taught us in a lot of ways. You know, people not having to hole out, not having to take that bunker shot. And so getting our employees to think that's okay. There's still a place for traditional golf, right? I'm a traditional golfer. I want to play by the rules, but that doesn't mean the new golfers, the new generation really are going to think that way initially at least. And so having our staff think that way and say, yes, it's okay, that's the biggest thing to keeping these new golfers part of the game for the long term.
Maybe just to add one last thing. So one of the positions we have at each of our 4 properties is we have a women's golf ambassador. And our women's golf ambassador, her whole role is to onboard new women golfers of all ages. And so there's a lot that goes into that. There's a big story behind that. It's been super successful for us. But one of the big parts that's successful is our mentor program, where we have mentors that take new women golfers out onto their first 9 holes of golf and literally put their arm around them and take them out on the course and show them a great time. And a lot of women who are in their working years have found that so valuable to get onboarded with the game, and that's why the program just continues to grow.
Anybody else? I think our time is up. Thank you very much.